Hey there nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we're back with an episode of the Underhive's Most Wanted, a series dedicated to the analysis of the Dramatis Personae fighters and Games Workshop's Necromunda. In this series we will talk about their characteristics, their skills, their weapons and wargear, their special rules, and provide our insights on the Dramatis Personae and how they could fit your gang and how to best dominate in your next campaign of Necromunda. And on today's episode we are focusing on two House Goliath hired guns from Necromunda House of Chains. Those two characters are Tess Arkup, the Hive Scum is armed with an arc welder, as well as Old Three Eyes, the mother of all Sumcrocs. Now, because video will be a little more of a deeper dive, I will put timestamps in the description box down below so that way you can click and navigate to the fighter that interests you the most. So that being said, let's talk about these two hired guns from House Goliath. So first up is Old Three Eyes, the Goliath Sump Beast Dramatis Personae, which is the mother of all Sumcrocs. She costs 175 credits, and her characteristics are 4-inch movement, 2+ weapon skill, 4 strength and 4 toughness, 3 wounds, 5+ for initiative, 3 attack. She has 8 leadership, 4 cool, 6 willpower, as well as 10 intelligence, which is actually pretty standard considering all the things that she's a giant Sumcroc. That 2+ weapon skill, that 4 strength and 4 toughness is really nice. Same thing with the 3 wounds as well as 3 attacks. Now the leadership and the intelligence are horrible, but let's face it, it's a crocodile. What do you expect? While the 4 cool as well as 6+ willpower is actually quite good. Now for its weapons, it does have Ferocious Jaw, which means that you'll be resolving your attacks at strength 5 with -1 AP and 1 damage, with rending, which means you have a 1 to 6 chance of actually scoring twice as much damage, which is kind of nice as well. Now when it comes to the wargear, of course, they basically have light carapace armor basically, because it's got 4 up armor save because of its scaly hide. As when it comes to its skills, it does have Impetuous, which means that you can consolidate 4 inches instead of 2 inches, which is quite nice because Old Three Eyes is going to be relying on close combat attacks. It's also got Nerves of Steel as well, which means when you combine it with its cool characteristic of 4+, it will be escaping pinning 94% of the time, so this thing's not going to be stopped if it gets shot at and gets pinned. At the same time, it also has a Hurl skill, which means it's a basic action, which means that enemies must take an initiative test. If they fail, they're thrown D3 inches, which can be performed for free after a charge instead of a fight action, which could be kind of interesting. So if you're going against somebody who's got low initiative, that could be quite good. At the same time, throwing somebody off of a roof of a building is always a fun option, so that part is kind of cool as well. Now, when it comes to its special rules, it has the Mother of Sumcroc special rules, which means that all and any Sumcrocs can use the willpower, as well as the cool characteristic of all 3 eyes, which I thought was kind of neat. It's also got Scaly Hide for 4 armor save, and it's also got the Unpredictable special rule, which means it can't be included in group activations, and of course all of its attacks are reckless, and it can also benefit from leading by example, which is kind of sad. Now, for only about 45 credits more than your average Sumcroc, this thing is actually quite deadly. If you're going to put that kind of money in a Sumcroc anyways, you might as well get something that's even better, and I think this is where where Old Three Eyes basically shines. And the nice thing about that is you can double down on the number of Sumcrocs in your gang as well, who also benefits from the better cool as well as the willpower that Old Three Eyes is able to bring, which is also kind of nice too. Interesting enough, it would be kind of interesting to see this thing being used as a outcast gang leader, oddly enough. The reason why I'd be so interested to see this as Outcast Gang Leader is because it does have that 6+ willpower, which means you could basically give it a telepathy word archetype, which means that you could use Iron Will to create a 4+ cool level gang of destruction for all your fighters, which could be quite interesting if you want to do that. Basically, kind of like a cult of the 3-eyed Sumcroc. I mean, it just sounds kind of cool when you think about it that way as well. Another nice thing about this miniature, of course, is that it's not a Forge World exclusive, so you can convert, proxy, as well as 3D print, or you get any of your miniature from a third party, whatever the case may be, whatever is easiest for you. And at such a low credit cost as well, this fighter is actually quite good, and is kind of fun to put on the battlefield in my opinion. So those are my overall viewpoints on All Three Eyes. So up next is Tess Arkup. She is a House Goliath Forge-born Hive Scum. It costs 90 credits. So let's talk about her real quick. So she's got a 6-inch wound allowance, which is actually quite swift. She's got 4+ weapon skill, 4+ ballistic skill, as well as 3 strength and 4 toughness, which is quite nice. She only has 1 wound, however, but she does have +2 initiative as well as 1 attack. She has 8 leadership, 5 cool, 7 willpower, as well as 7 intelligence. So when it comes to her statistics, her characteristics, she is significantly better than that of a normal Forge-born. Plus, having that 2+ initiative is actually quite nice, just in case you go into situations where you might have to use initiative quite a bit, like boarding enemy vehicles, for example, on the ash wastes, or if you're crossing bridges or jumping off ledges, or whatever the case may be. She also has pretty decent psychology stats as well, which makes her much better than the average Forge-born, who usually have some really horrible psychology stats as well. Now, when it comes to weapons, of course, she does have a Storm Welder, but with a weapon skill, Ballistic skill 4+ and shooting at long range, she'll be doing pretty good with that weapon. At the same time, she'll be able to hit her targets at 3+ at the short range, which is actually quite nice. She does have Furnace Plates, which means that she has a 6-up armor save or a 5+ armor save. She's getting hit from the front or from a blast weapon, which is kind of nice. Now, when it comes to her skill, she does have Clamber, which means she can have the distance of vertical distances when she's climbing, and with the Sprint special rule, she can travel up to 3 times with her movement allowance, making her travel 18 inches, which could be quite deadly as well. Now, she does have a couple of special rules for her. First of all, she has Goliath Forgeborn, which means she can only be recruited by Goliath gang, so if you're not a Goliath gang, you really can't recruit her. And at the same time, she also has the Wired special rule, which means that she can re-roll failed initiative tests, right? Basically, her enhanced nervous system making her reflexes super fast because of all the electricity she works around with. Now, just to give you guys an idea about Tess Arcup, she's actually really good as a hired gun in my opinion, because here's why. A normal Forgeborn that you recruit with a Stormwelder costs 110 credits. But they're not nearly as good as Tess with only 90 credits. Not to mention you have to buy armor for the guys still. They have no skills, they have worse stats. Tess is an absolute bargain. For 90 credits, you get a Forgeborn with a Stormwelder who is actually much more better for the task than the actual Stormborn is as well. Now, her agility skills and her higher initiative makes her perfect for boarding actions in the Ashways or climbing higher surfaces in the Underhive, so that way you can get directly to your targets and blast face with that Stormwelder and destroy dudes and manage to stand in your way. And oddly enough, she'd actually make a pretty good Outcast gang leader as well if you want to, because of the higher psychology stats that she actually comes out with. My recommendation, though, is to use gene smithing to make her more competitive, so that way you can increase some of her stats that she might be weak in, and like, for example, her wounds characteristic, for example. So that might be something you might take a look in. All in all, she is an excellent fighter for what she can do. And at 90 credits, that is actually a really good steal, all things considered. Another really positive thing about Tess Arcup is that she is not a Forge World exclusive either, so that way you can convert, proxy, or 3D print, or go with a third-party miniature if you want to. And I highly recommend getting her. If you're a Goliath player, hire this fighter instead of a normal Forgeborn with an Arc Welder, or if you want to use her as Outcast leader, that could be really fun too. I can see her like leading up like a what you call unborn revolution in the depths of House Goliath or something like that. It could be really neat. So there you guys have it. Then this is all we have to say about Old 3 Eyes as well as Tess Arcup. Both of these miniatures are not Forge World exclusives, which are really nice, so that way you can actually make them more viable to including in your gang. They also have some really interesting stats and also have really cool rules, so I highly suggest going with any one of these. If you're a House Goliath gang player and you want to looking for something really interesting, both of these would do really great in your gang as well. And as always, because it's not a Forge World exclusive, you can convert, proxy, 3D print, third party it, whatever you want to do in order to get those. And oddly enough, as I said before, they would make interesting Outcast gang leaders as well. Same thing with All 3 Eyes. You can make like a cult that worshippers, for example, or like have Tess Arcup lead an unborn revolution in the House Goliath. It could be really cool, some of the things that you do with either one of these two fighters. So that's good for those of you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blog.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this week, guys. I will catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.